Welcome to Club Bed. I am so glad to be here, and I am so glad that you are here. Why not take a moment to set your alarm if you are obligated to do anything at a particular time in the morning or whatever time of day you next have to be somewhere or to be up and about, so that you can fully relax and fully concentrate, or just fully let go and not have to have anything at the back of your mind. So take a few moments if you are in the position of having to do something in the next little while. There's a possibility that you may fall asleep during this meditation, even if you don't mean to do so. That's why I'm recommending that just in case, you take a moment now to set your alarm. Also, if you want to brush your teeth or get some ice water or whatever it is that you'd like to have next to you, go ahead and do that if you like. So the purpose of this meditation is for me to talk you to sleep, into a deep, deep sleep. And at the same time, I'm going to attempt to clear your chakras. So before we begin the meditation, we are going to do our usual breathing exercise. And you know what I'm going to say. First, to empty your lungs. Let's all do it together. Fill them up. Hold the thought. And release. And now you can just slowly go back to your regular breathing pattern. So what I'd like you to do right now is take every single thing that is on your mind right now that is bothering you. Worries, stress, bills, obligations, guilt, things that you wish you hadn't have done or said, or upcoming dread, whatever. Let's take all of that right now. We're going to take all of that and we're going to release it, so that you take every worry and every fear, every feeling that brings you down and robs you of your ability to feel peaceful. Ask for it all to make a pile of it right now in your head. And I want you to imagine that a spiritual vacuum cleaner is extending down from the sky, and we're going to turn it on in a minute, and it's going to suck up that pile of stress, worry, guilt, dread, whatever it is. Are you ready? filling it all up. All of that pile is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and shooting out through the right side of your head till it's all gone. It's gone. Okay. And at the same time, this beautiful sprinkling, like little sparks, are coming in or entering through the left side of your head to replace and just to sort of completely heal up and clean up that area where that used to be. Sprinkle little sparks all over it. Now, if you're still with me, if you're still here and you've even just sort of semi-listened to what I've just said, you have done some fantastic spiritual work tonight so far. So pat yourself on the back, even if you don't know how it's going to work and you thought it was a little bit weird. Believe me, you have done some fantastic meditative work so far tonight. When you hear readers say, if you watch tarot and you hear readers say so-and-so didn't do the work, or this divine masculine, or this, divine feminine, even sometimes, or masculine gone karmic, or they didn't do the work. This is what, when people say, what's the work? This is the work. What you're doing right now is the work. Every time you select something to listen to that is meant to bring you to a place of peace. So if you're attempting to get good quality sleep, you're doing the work. Because what you're doing is you're trying to rest your body at a bare minimum. I think 99% of the people listening to this right now are doing much more than that, but you get the idea. This is the work. What's the work? It's this, okay? This kind of thing. You're getting very, very sleepy already. Your head is already feeling a little more relaxed. And if you're lying down, your head might be weighted into the pillow. Your body is starting to feel relaxed. Don't worry if you still have something nagging on your mind, that's normal. But it would be nice if you would allow yourself to let go of the dialogue. If there's something running through your head, if there's nothing running through your head, good. That's good for you. You're doing really, really well. But if there's something still running through your head, remember, your alarm is set. In fact, just a moment, if there's something still running through your head right now, and your alarm is not set, I want you to set your alarm. I do, because what's happening is, if there's something still running through your head, and your alarm is not set, what it means is that you believe that you need to keep your attention on whatever's running through your head. Otherwise, or else, and you can fill in the blank. So let me just adopt your theory. Okay, so could I ask you to do this? If you think that you need to keep your attention on this thing, could you please postpone putting your attention on this thing for about 2 hours? So could you set your alarm for 2 hours? Because I think you would agree with me that you can take a 2-hour break from having this thing running through your head without, facing whatever consequences you think you're going to be facing if you don't constantly put your attention on it. So I'm going to agree with you and say, yes, okay, you need to keep thinking about this, but I think you would agree with me that you cannot think about it for 2 hours without facing any of the dire consequences that you think are going to result from not constantly thinking about it. And of course, I'm saying that kind of tongue in cheek. I am being a little sarcastic. But if you could just please set your alarm then, because in 2 hours, it's okay. You can start worrying about it again if you like. But I want your full attention for 2 hours. That's what I want. So please set your alarm because I want your full attention. I don't want to be competing with that thing that's running through your head, whether it's a person or a worry or an outcome that you think you're surely going to face. All right? Please set your alarm. I'll give you a moment to do that. Perfect. Now, for the rest of you, so all of you right now should be having no problem focusing completely on what I'm saying, on the sounds that you're hearing. There should be no thing or thought competing with this meditation. And if there is, just do the alarm, set the alarm thing. All right, now, I want you to now help me put your entire focus on the present moment. So we're going to pretend that we are in a submarine. One of these submarines that has compartments, literal compartments, so that, if there's a flood or water starts coming in, one doesn't affect the other. So I want you, first of all, to think about the past, whatever happened today or yesterday, or whatever document got served on you, or whatever mean thing your lover said to you, or, your children said, or whatever phone call you got, whatever came your way. We are going to extricate ourselves from the past. Just for this meditation. After the meditation, fill your boots. You can go in the past, the future, wherever you want. But I want you in the present in this meditation. So, there is a compartment in this submarine that's called the present. And it's this meditation, it's called bed. So right now, we are going to close the iron door on everything that happened before this very moment. Are you ready? Boom! Now that iron door on the past has been shut. So we are not going to look back. We are fully in the present. But over there are things that could happen tomorrow or tomorrow morning or in 3 or 4 hours. No, we are not going there. You and I, our minds, our bodies, our souls, our energy are not going to be in any other space other than club present, club bed, and that's about to close. Are you ready? Shh, boom. There is no future. It doesn't exist. There is no past. It doesn't exist. What exists is right now where we are. That's all. You are safe. Because we are in the present. You are safe. You're in club bed. You are safe, and Spirit is here. Spirit is here with you, all right? I've been using tanning products, and they've been the fake lotion tanning that's been staining my wrists and knees and everything. Let's do one more breath before we start with the root chakra. As I mentioned, and I have mentioned before, it is not necessary to be consciously listening to everything that I'm saying or doing it or fully, doing it. You must congratulate yourself if you're still listening to this right now. Wow. That's really good. If you're still listening to this right now, looking for something useful to get out of it, you are surely committed to your spiritual process, okay? So I would like you to now empty your lungs one more time. Only this time when we do it, we are going to scoop up anything unhealthy in our body, anything that our cells are distracted by, any viruses or bacteria that's not good. We are going to allow it to leave gently, lovingly, effortlessly leave our body through the right side. And when we breathe in, we're asking for refreshing, abundant, healing energy to come in from the left side. Are you ready? Doing the expulsion of the negative energy in air first. Breathing in the good energy. Hold for 5 seconds. And release. All right, so you're going to go back to your normal breathing. And we're going to start on the root chakra. And even if your subconscious is listening and not your conscious, that's perfect. Okay. The will to go on, the ability to survive. I want you to picture, and in fact, some of you may have actually gone through this, a mother, a single mother, who has to get up at 6 in the morning. Maybe she's had no sleep. And maybe she's sick herself with a cold. Imagine, I'm sure that all of you have been through a time when you've been ill and you have to get out of bed and go to work. And for some reason, you can't call in sick. Maybe you're self-employed, or maybe for whatever reason, you've got to be there. You just can't not be there. And I think most of you can, or at least remember something like that. And do you remember how incredibly awful it feels? And you can sometimes have this feeling like, how am I going to do this? Like, there's no way I can do this. But somehow you put one foot in front of the other. Somehow you get your clothes on. Somehow you get there. Somehow you function. And you might even function well. But somehow you get through it. That is root chakra energy. That is the energy that it's like your heart and nerve and sinew all coming together to go on, to hold on, to allow you to move forward when there is nothing in you, when there's no fuel. You know, it's not there. The tank's on empty, but somehow you get there. Somehow your body just goes there anyway. That is that unseen root chakra energy. I call it the energy of the single mother, this single mother who's sick. Anyway, who gets through the day, who gets it done somehow. And not to, and perhaps the single father as well. Some of you have probably been in that situation. But I think that I actually don't have any children, but I have a lot of friends who do. And I oftentimes wonder, wow, where do they get it? To give you an extreme example of root chakra, of the enormous power of root chakra energy, I'm sure everyone has heard of the famous tennis star Serena Williams, who recently, in a news story that came out, she in fact won the French Open on, I think it was 55 minutes of sleep that she had, and she probably wasn't really even sleeping, because she wanted to be in one of her children was sick and had some kind of a broken bone or something, a broken wrist, I think. And she wanted to be there with her child at outpatients in emergency. That's why I'm saying that it's more the example that I was using the single mom, because there's something about, it looks to me anyway, that there's something about single mothers or mothers in general, that even though someone else could have done it, they want to be there with their child. How did she do it? She then had to show up at an international tennis match. And for any of you who play tennis, I play tennis, but I'm really, really, really bad. Terrible. There's a lot of swearing expletives that come out when I play tennis. Anyway, I didn't mean to put anything personal in that, but so just imagine that she won. First place, won, not just showed up and got through it, but that she won, That's root chakra. There was no fuel in the tank, She did it anyway. How about the movie Alive? Did any of you see that movie? It's sort of, I guess, so I'm really, really, really old. And I watched that movie with my brother, I remember. And it's based on a true story of a sports team. I think it was soccer. And the plane went down. Was it the Himalayas? I think it was a part of the Himalayas. Anyway, if I'm wrong about that, just leave a comment, please. And it was very sad. The plane crashed. Many of the people died, but so search crews had gone out, but they gave up. They actually had flown right over the spot of the crash, and the people, the victims, of the crash thought that they had been seen, so they were expecting to be rescued, but it turns out they didn't see them. So here's what happened. Interestingly, one of the young men on the plane, who in fact had been in the worst shape right after the crash, he was unconscious for about 3 or 4 days. They thought he was dead. He eventually, became conscious again, and for a couple of weeks sort of helped everybody. And after they discovered that the search and rescue who had been flying over them had not seen them and weren't coming, he decided he was going to walk through the mountains to the nearest town. And I don't know what kind of a distance it was. It was something that literally was, humanly, generally would be impossible, especially for someone who was starving the way that he was. But he did it. And managed to, obviously, when he hit the first town, he was able to find people, and the remaining of the people were rescued finally. But the distance and the lack of fuel that he had, that he was literally starving at the time of the trip, the will to go on, the bad weather that he had to walk through, that's root chakra energy at work. It's basic survival energy, and you have it in you. So what we're doing here right now, when people say you have a blocked this or that chakra, all that it means is that vortex area is unable to express itself. It's still there. It's just unable to rotate. And remember, everything rotates. All the chakra rotates. We're rotating. The earth is rotating. The sun is actually orbiting the Milky Way. Who knows what the Milky Way is orbiting? Everything is rotating. Rotaro. Rotate. So now, for some reason, some of you may know why. I don't know why. There's a lot of you that have a lot of very extensive knowledge on chakras who listen to this program way more than mine. And I love it when you comment and email and stuff like that. So if you have anything to add on this, please do. But so what I do know, that I know my the people that are very well versed in this agree with me on and say that I'm right, is that all these energy centers are rotating in the same direction. Okay, they say it's counterclockwise. I think that's true. And so what does that mean? Well, as you're lying down now or sitting, you're looking down at your root chakra. So it's in the area, to be honest, it's between your tailbone and your anus. That is where this this vortex energy center is. So I just want you to close your eyes and just visualize a ball of red, beautiful ruby red light in that area, please. Let it glow out. Now I want you to turn that ball of red light into a fan, just like the engine of that little airplane there, into a fan, all right? Have it rotate counterclockwise like this. So as you're looking down, as you're looking down, I'm going to let you decide what you feel is counterclockwise. Just make sure that as we're going through this, all your chakras are going in the same direction, okay? So I want you to turn this ball of red light in your tailbone area, between your tailbone and your anus. Turn it in what you feel is a counterclockwise direction. Now I want you to imagine that it's a fan, just like a fan that you would turn on if it's too hot. Right? This one doesn't spin very fast, but just put it on medium speed. Now, if there are any dark spots on this, just let them flick off with the speed of the fan until this is completely, utterly, uniformly red. You just grab this color here, okay? So this is the color that I feel the root chakra is. Allow that beautiful deep ruby red to glow out in your tailbone area. Allow it to glow. Turn it like a fan in what you feel is a counterclockwise direction. As it turns, you notice that it glows out a very deep, beautiful ruby red color. The fan is pulling money toward you, pulling cash toward you, pulling security toward you, pulling respect toward you. I want you to picture now that somebody is looking at you walking into a room and they're respecting you. Someone is speaking of you right now and they're saying, so-and-so, that's a good person. I really respect what he or she had to say about such and such. You are safe, grounded, respected, and money is coming your way. Everything that you need and more. And you are getting very, very, very sleepy. You're thinking that you may not get through this whole thing because you're getting really tired. You're starting to be pulled into that sleep. Remember that feeling that you have sometimes just before you're about to fall asleep. And you think, wow, I'm about to go to sleep and I can't do anything about it. Yay. I hope my alarm is set. Good work. Now visually, I want you to move up your body to around about where your hips are. And if you take 2 fingers and touch both your hips, and you start bringing them close to each other until they touch, you're in the sacral chakra area, all right? They say that this energy vortex really starts to develop somewhere between the ages of 8 to 14. So as you can tell, it's related to sex. So the other day, I heard somebody defining what sex really is. And it's really interesting what he said. I'm just going to read it to you because I actually wrote it down. A desire to have an authentic and intimate communion with another. So what I thought was interesting about that definition was the word authentic. And I didn't get to ask him to define what he meant by that. So maybe if you have an idea of what that is, you could comment on it. So now I did say to him, I asked him to give me a definition of a healthy version of sex, because what we were talking about was the sacral chakra. And he was saying that, although I'm not sure that I agree with him, but he was saying that sometimes the chakra areas can be overactive, but I'm not sure that I agree with him on that. But anyway, so I then I was interested in knowing if he thought that, what his version of what I was trying to find out is he thought that people who with an overreactive sacral chakra if this is what creates a sex addiction, or perhaps because this chakra area is associated with addictions in general, which can be anything though. So they can be eating disorders, shopping addictions, gambling, but the thing is, the reason why I thought this definition was interesting is because, you know how they say moderation is the key. Why does the sacral chakra even exist? If addictions or sex, if these things are supposed to be bad, then how can you have a healthy sacral chakra area? Well, it's because I believe that there's nothing wrong with a little gambling or a little alcohol or a few cigarettes or a little bit of sex. It's the balance that's important and the focus that's put on it. Now, of course, I'm not condoning any of this. It's wonderful. I think abstinence is wonderful for people who don't drink any alcohol at all, or who don't smoke or don't engage in. I think abstinence from sex is wonderful too. It's just kind of a cool thing, But anyway, just because it's a very different way of life. And also, those people can put a focus on a very, intense focus on something else. But anyway, you get the idea. A healthy functioning sacral chakra means that you are going to have a desire for sex. A healthy functioning sacral chakra means that sexual desire, there's nothing unhealthy about it. So, it's likely that this whole area for all of us, simply because, we've outlawed some things that probably shouldn't be illegal, and we have legalized some things that maybe should not be legal. But anyway, So it does, have to do with the desire for sex, also creative pursuits. When you get an idea, if you're an artist, many of you are artists, painters, musicians. I find a lot of Aquarius. If you're not an actual musician, you love music and art. And some of you are very, very, very well trained at it. Some of you do it professionally. We have a few famous people on this channel, by the way, but I'm not allowed to tell you who they are. Some of you are mechanics. I find people who are mechanics, it is like an art. And I also think that it's closely associated with the sacral chakra. How mechanics really love finding problems. I think what they love the most are the problems and the problem solving. When you bring your car in and they're mostly interested in, well, what's wrong? What do you hear? And what I find is when I'm describing to a mechanic, I heard a whirring noise or a hissing noise, their eyes will light up, with excitement, because they're so interested in the mechanism and in fixing it and in making it work. So they're literally communing, authentically communing with a whole other system. It's the sacral chakra function. So how does the sacral chakra get blocked? Well, I believe that one way that the sacral chakra gets blocked is if, for example, now of course this channel is not about judgment at all, because people don't, there's always a reason why people inflict pain on others, all right? There's always, you can go back. I don't believe that anyone is born bad. I believe there's a logical reason if you trace back, so I don't mean to judge anybody. But I do believe that certain people grow up in families, and the child, or you may have been geared or meant, or your life's purpose may be very, very defined. So you may have been meant to be an actor or an actress or a musician or something creative. Maybe you were meant to be a surgeon, a lawyer, whatever. And somehow, if you were raised in an environment where the desire was someone else had it in mind, that you should not be doing that and should be doing something else, there may have been some pressure or somebody stomping out or discouraging certain behaviors in you, or fire signs often suffer this. Leos can suffer this. Sagittarians can suffer this. Aries can suffer this, although Aries normally aren't affected by this. I can say this because I am an Aries. Aries will forge ahead, and they'll get to where they want to go. No one has to worry about an Aries being stomped down, that you cannot stomp them down. But anyway, sometimes people's fire can be put out by their parents. It can happen, and it's because it's not really it's not at all the parents' fault. It's just that they want the best for their child, so they think, oh no, it's better if you go this way, and because I don't want you to be received badly, I'm going to discourage this behavior and encourage this other behavior. And so we have somebody discouraged from doing what they were meant to do, and somebody's sacral chakra gets frozen or blocked. That's how that happens. One way that it happens anyway. And that is why the affirmations for this chakra can be something like, I am aligned with my life's purpose. I know what my life's purpose are. I will make decisions for myself. That type of thing. If you it's interesting because you want to know what each of these chakras are about. Have a look at the affirmations for that chakra, and you might immediately understand what the chakra is all about. So I believe that eventually everybody ends up, if they don't eventually end up doing it, in the next lifetime they will. We are always desiring our dharma, what we are meant to be doing. And if you're doing the work, so for everyone I feel that's listening to this right now, you're either in your dharma already or you're en route to there, because anyone who's doing any kind of spiritual work on themselves are either in their dharma or en route to their dharma. So part of achieving this is allowing yourself not to feel any effects of judgment from others on what you're doing, or any pressure to be committed to a certain career path. So it can be very debilitating when you are allowing others to dictate what it is that you should be doing in life. So if you're at the point where you know what you want to do and you've managed to get there, or you're en route and you are not at all affected by what others think of it, you have arrived. Welcome to being in your dharma. And I feel like everyone that's listening to this right now, you're either already there or you are en route, okay? Or you may be in a situation where you've accomplished an enormous amount, having been in your dharma for a significant period of time. All right, so we'll do one visualization for this chakra. So we'll just do a visualization here for your sacral chakra. So you can imagine a ball of orange light in your hip bone area, at that sort of latitude. Would that be longitude? Not sure. Anyway, as I said, if you take your 2 fingers and put them on your hips, and then let your fingers travel toward each other until they're equidistant, you are in your sacral chakra area. So it's above the root chakra. So look down now and see that the root chakra is below it. You have your beautiful ruby red wheel turning, and right above it, you have this beautiful orange wheel turning in the same direction, but a little bit faster. It is uniform orange, pure orange, beautiful orange, glowing light. I want you to stare at it and notice that it's like a flame of a fire. Sometimes if you stare into fire, you can sort of get mesmerized by the flame, and that's what's happening right now. And you are getting very, very sleepy. I'm going to get you to take a deep breath, starting with breathing out. Hold it. And release. You are completely relaxed, completely safe, and completely peaceful, protected. And you are getting very, very sleepy. You're going to have a wonderful sleep tonight. And you will wake up feeling very well. And you'll have an intention in mind. We are now going to move to our solar plexus chakra. So in our upper stomach area where your rib cages meet, center, it's right in your upper stomach area. For different, bodies, it may be somewhere else. So you just choose the area if you feel that you are aware of where your personal power or solar plexus chakra is. You just use that because that is the correct area for you. So I picture this as a miniature sun. It does rotate a little bit faster than our sacral chakra, the one below it. This energy center is extremely important. It has to do with your ability to love who you are, but also to define who you are, to not allow others to define that for you. All right. Do you have a teenager who just got a tattoo and you're upset about it? Maybe you have a little girl who just got a tattoo and it's upsetting you. Don't. And let me tell you why. It's a good thing. So I have read some very interesting social studies. And the reason I was doing this was because I have a close relative who's a mother who a few years ago was a little bit upset because her teenage daughter had gotten a tattoo. And, this just wasn't, I know that seems crazy because the majority of people have tattoos. But it just, for her, it was upsetting for some reason. So I wanted her, I know she was, the mother of the child was very upset and I wanted her to feel better. And I know that she's a very intelligent, objective person. And I knew that the only thing that was going to make her feel better was something scientifically proven. So, of course, I got on the internet and I started looking for some research on tattoos and, is there anything good about them? And I was shocked to see that there absolutely is. And it has to do with a child, a teenager, not wanting others to define who they are, knowing who they are, and expressing it through a tattoo. It's healthy. So, for example, one of the studies, that's confirmation there, it's my neighbor's dog. I don't know if any of you are fans of Gary's tarot. I just love him. Anyway, he has a dog, and I don't know if he still has the dog because I don't hear or see it anymore. But he had a dog, definitely, at one point. And the dog had a squeaky toy. And so Gary was trying to deliver a reading. It was a really good reading, too. It was an Aries reading, and it was completely resonating with me. And I couldn't wait to hear his next sentence. And every time he tried to speak, there would be this, and the dog was deliberately, it was absolutely hilarious. Some of you may have seen it, but anyway, I digress. So the study was saying that it was actually, all of these social scientists and sociologists felt that it was quite healthy, especially for young women who are just entering puberty, because they weren't liking, these young ladies were being interviewed and asked why they got the tattoo. And of course, I don't know how this data was collected or how they managed to figure this out, but the results of the study suggested that they didn't like the way that women were being portrayed in the media, and they didn't want to do anything aggressive or negative, or so the tattoo, because of course it's permanent and you can see it on you. It's a way of saying, I define who I am, and this is it. And don't you put a label on me, I'll put a label on myself, and that's what I am. And so anyway, it was not an expression of rebellion toward parents at all. And this was what was happening with the parents, were not understanding it had nothing to do with them, and everything to do with how a young woman felt she was being defined by society. And it was her way of saying, nope, this is who I am. So, and there were 2 or 3 of these studies that all suggested the same thing. So, of course, I got to email. I think I even called this relative, and she was very grateful to receive this, and it did seem to very much improve her mood, but it was true. And my point is, those young ladies who were getting their tattoos at the age of 13, or however old they were, they had a high functioning solar plexus chakra, because they knew who they were defining it. And not only that, especially for this young lady who got the tattoo against her parents' wishes, and of course I'm not condoning this. I know, because I have a friend who listens to this, My Club Beds, and she listens to it with her children. So no, this is not an excuse for you to go out and get a tattoo. The bottom line is, when your solar plexus chakra is functioning well, you define you know your own value. Especially, it allows you to withstand criticism. So that's one thing that I like to get. Obviously, it'd be better if I didn't get it, but perhaps not. I find it very intriguing and interesting when people criticize me, mainly because I want to test myself to see if I can feel okay with it. But also because some of what other people say, I feel is true, and I want to be confident enough to be able to listen to what they're saying, and not dismiss it without first considering it, because they could be right, But then at the end of the day, if I feel that I have considered them in an objective way, to be able to dismiss it if I feel that they're wrong. So the bottom line is, if somebody has said something about you and criticized you, and perhaps a part of it is true. Let me give you an example. If you're an artist and you get lost in what you're doing, if you're a painter or a sculptor, or if there's something, or a musician, a composer, and part of what you do is you spend a great deal of time alone. And that's true, right? So that's a fact. If someone says to you, you're a shut-in, or you're a hermit, or you're a this, or you're a that, problem is it's true, but how you receive it will show you how confident you are about who you are. If it's true and you are proud of who you are, it will not bother you. It means your solar plexus chakra is shining. And so, of course, that is why it's important to have this chakra balanced. And you know that, of course, if there were one correct way to be, we would all be the same, wouldn't we? If there were only one correct way of acting and behaving, and a certain perfect amount of friends we're supposed to have, or perfect amount of socializing we're supposed to do, if that were the case, then we should all be the same. So, of course, this is not true, So the whole idea of being who you are is that we are all unique. We are all different, you know. So it is important to love love who you are just the way you are. And so now here is another affirmation that, you know, we might feel like a robot when we're saying it, but now you know why it's important. So one of the affirmations for this chakra is, I love who I am, just the way I am. Why is it that we feel like a robot when we say that? Or how about this? Especially when people use the word imperfections. Be careful of that word, because it implies that there is perfection and that an imperfection is something less than that. In fact, I disagree with that. So one of the affirmations for this chakra is, I am perfect just the way I am. Problem is that use of the word perfect. We should probably replace it with, I am meant to be this way. My unique being has much to offer. My way of, I am perfect, I am whole the way I am. This is how I was meant to be. This is who I am. So of course we have to get rid of that word perfect. Unless we're using it mathematically, of course. See, perfect square, or perfect triangle, etc. What we mean is, you know, that the interior angles are all the same, or to a certain degree. You get the idea. You know, not, and let me use this as an example from the perspective of a tarot reader. When I ask for your birth chart, let's think about where you were when you were born, your little body. Because in this particular existence that we are in right now, in this lifetime, and you'll hear readers call it the 3D, everything that we can see, touch, feel, everything that has physically manifest, so things that are not in the other realm, all right? So things that have physically manifested, things that are here right now. There is, on a mundane level, an impossibility. For example, my body, if I had one of my sisters come in to this room right now, this is an interesting thing to say. If I asked you, could she jump into my body? Could she take up the same space that I'm taking up right now in this physical world? Well, no. She would have to sit beside me on this chair. If we're talking about the 3D, if we're talking about this physical existence now, of course, right now, there is one of you, and I take your point, because right now what's happening is one of you who you either astral travel or you're psychic or something like that. I think you're a female. There's somebody right now who's saying, but no, it is possible. But that is because you're involving the other realm, okay? I'm talking about, let's just stick to the 3D, to this physical world. You know that this little card here cannot occupy the same space as this card, okay? Not in this physical realm. So when you were born, wherever you were born, whatever time of day you were born, is it possible for another human being to have been born in that exact space at that exact time? No. No. So we are not meant to be the same. There is no one that has your astrological makeup. No one. And you know what? There never will be, ever. Ever. Because at that time, in that space, in that realm, there was only ever you. And that is how it was meant to be. It's not possible to have it any other way. And so you are whole and perfect. You are not meant to be any other way. So nobody has your birth chart, your destiny, your astrological makeup, nobody. So if somebody comes along and tells you you're not doing this right, or you're not who you, etc., you just dismiss them. I'm going to read a few affirmations that I chose for this chakra, all right? You are who you are because of your history. All of it has helped you grow in love and wisdom. Every experience has blessed you in some way, even bad ones, or what you perceive to be bad. Embrace the past and forgive anything that needs forgiving. Forgiveness is the key. Non-judgment and forgiveness, forgiving yourself. Anything that you have done. Anything. All right? Now then, let's move to the heart chakra. Most of you don't have a blocked heart chakra, to be honest, I feel. But we'll talk about this area anyway. In a nutshell, it's about having compassion for yourself, all right, first of all, not being hard on yourself, not judging yourself, and also, having empathy for others. For many of you, you have all of that, and your main challenge may be simply being compassionate toward yourself, a little more forgiving, not so hard on yourself. How do we do this? Affirmations do help, but I find when it comes to loving ourselves, it's really interesting, because when people are working on this area, they're often accused of being self-absorbed. It's interesting. It's exactly the opposite. People who are working on this area have, in fact, shut down a little. If anyone who's working on their heart chakra, they have given, I find anyway, these are people who have given an awful lot to others in the past, and who have been, some of you have been sort of targeted and hated, and you haven't been shown love because you stand out and people are intimidated by you. A lot of those people don't receive a lot of compassion, all right? So I have a feeling that might be your main challenge. So we're going to focus on that in this meditation. And here is what I think would help you here. So Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul, he's dead, but he once said that if you think of God as the ocean, if you can use that analogy, and picture taking a glass and scooping up a glass of the ocean, you are a cup of, you're what's in the cup. So you're made of the same thing. You are the same thing. So if you hate yourself, if you're cruel to yourself, you're sending that energy to spirit. You're literally hating God. So, and I know that you don't hate God, that you do love spirit. So when you punch yourself, when you punish yourself, when you say, I'm an idiot, or I can't believe, why did I do that? When you get angry with yourself, when you're hard on yourself and make lists and force yourself to do this and that. Why did I eat this? that energy that you're sending yourself, you're sending to spirit. And so I want you to think of spirit as that giving energy. Think of a dog, when a dog tries to help you with something, or when your pet tries to comfort you if you're crying or something. If you get the idea. When somebody has done something to try to help you, here's this, here's that, and it makes you cry because this person is being so nice to you. Well, that's what God is doing for you all the time. So every time you get angry with yourself, or you judge yourself for something that you've done, even if it was a big mistake, you're sending that judgmental energy and that hatred to God. And God didn't do anything wrong, So this is why you have to understand that there is this idea of separateness, being separate from God, that is not true. And so some of the people who try to place doubt in the minds of others, in fact, this is why Jesus was crucified. This is why we murdered Jesus of Nazareth, and we should all take responsibility for this, because they thought we did accuse him of saying that he was God, he was the Son of God. He was completely misunderstood. So if anyone says, are you saying that you're God? Just get those people out of your life, please. Okay. You can also challenge yourself to forgive someone who has done something terrible. If you're watching the news and you are seeing somebody being vilified, perhaps do a little internet research and see what their background is. In my old profession, I remember complaining to my father, who is a Virgo, by the way, who speaks about 4 times a year, not very often. Anyway, I was complaining about something that my client had worn, and it was, in fact, televised. And it was, at the back of his jacket had this skull, crossbones. It was the worst thing that he could have worn. And so I was complaining about it. And my father, we were all sitting around the table, and he was eating, and I could hear his fork drop. And Mom and I were looking up because we couldn't wait till he was going to speak. And he said, AJ. My middle name is Jane, so I was called AJ. Perhaps that jacket was the only jacket that young fellow owns. And then he picked up his fork and he began eating again. And of course, the young man was very poor. But my father is a Virgo, okay? Very mutable heart, very wise. Anyway, my point is, it made me ashamed because I had judged this person. And of course, I'm sure everybody else was judging him. But it's interesting that, it's how easy it is to do that, and there can be other factors going on. So the heart chakra is all about true unconditional love. And as I believe it was Madonna who said, love is understanding. So let's move on to the throat chakra. And you are getting very, very sleepy. Your head feels very heavy, and your eyes are closing. the throat chakra. All of us, all of you have important ideas that are meant to be expressed during this lifetime. Some of you may be called upon sometime in this lifetime to speak your truth. It is a spiritual calling for you to do so for the good of mankind. And so the throat chakra is closely associated with the ability to speak your truth, the ability to be able to speak up, to advocate for yourself, to put forth your opinion, even if it may be unpopular or not received well. For some of you, it may be a catalyst for other things that will happen after that. If this chakra is blocked, obviously it could prevent you from speaking up when we need to hear your idea, your fresh idea, your unique opinion, what you have to contribute. All right? Let me give you an historical example. During the lifetime, now let's just pretend this is a story. If you don't believe this to be true, that's totally okay. You can just use it as an example, all right, of the throat chakra functioning correctly. But based on what I've studied and read, and I have studied many religions, all right, but I do believe that something similar to this happened during the lifetime of Jesus of Nazareth. So, of course, he lived after Moses. Moses' era was well before Jesus' era. Moses is associated with the 10 Commandments, and Jesus broke many of those and suggested, that we should only really follow about 2 or 3 of them. That's part of the reason why we executed him. But anyway, one of them, on one day, apparently Jesus was in the second temple in Jerusalem, the one that was intact during his lifetime. And some people had brought a woman, literally dragged her into the temple, and she had been accused of committing adultery. And of course, according to the 10 Commandments, in that case, she should be stoned. So this was one of the 10 Commandments that Jesus did not like, and was trying to explain that this was more from Abraham than spirit, that this idea. So the men dragged the woman into the second temple before Jesus. And they, said, this woman has committed adultery, and so we brought her here, to be stoned. And Jesus was pretending not to listen to what they were saying. So he let them, go on and on and on about what she was accused of doing. And he looked up and he said, is that right? He said, all right. In that case, I will ask for the stoning to begin, but the person who is going to begin the stoning will be the person who, before me, has never committed any sin. And one by one, the men left the temple, starting with the eldest of them. So It was a very, very important story. And, you know, I won't go into the dialogue that happened after that between Jesus and the woman, but it's very interesting. Now, Jesus's throat chakra was wide open. It's about, I'm trying to share a screen here with you, but there's a mantra. It's about balancing your personal truth with society. So in other words, when your throat chakra is functioning, and it's also closely related to your solar plexus and sacral chakra, so all of the chakras have to be balanced, you will know deep inside that what the truth is. The truth generally is just what is the most loving thing to do. It's not really a fact, it's just what ought to be done. The truth was that woman, whether she was guilty or an innocent, ought to have been forgiven, because here, you know, these people here, all of them had also committed sin. So it's not, you know, God is not about punishment and judgment. Now, I advocate for myself, and I stand up for what I believe. So if all your chakras are functioning well, except for your throat chakra, you may be standing there knowing that something that you're looking at is wrong, but unable to speak. So the reason why it's important to have an open throat chakra is so you can contribute your gift as well. It's for the good of others, not just for your good, for the good of humanity, so that you can contribute your gifts, right? So for this chakra, I just want you to imagine a baby blue glowing light in the area of your throat. And I want you to rotate it now in the same direction that all of your other chakras are rotating in. Rotate it a little bit faster than your heart chakra. And make sure that if there are any dark spots on it, that they just flick off until the whole area around your throat chakra is a beautiful glowing baby blue light. Good job. You are getting very, very sleepy. You are feeling very good about yourself. You are relieved. You feel whole and happy and inspired. Your intuition is correct and you trust yourself. I want you to picture a navy blue globe. It's like a miniature world spinning inside your head, behind your eyes. Sparks are flying off this. You trust your intuition. You are correct. If all of the chakras that we have mentioned so far are functioning well, my belief is that this chakra will naturally be functioning well. The only thing I would add is that when you observe things, when you're walking around in your daily life and you observe things, know that a lot of what you're seeing and hearing are hints of what is to come toward you. Okay? So in other words, if you see somebody getting married, that and you want to get married, that's a very good sign. If you see somebody driving the sports car that you want, or you see it on television, that's a good sign it's coming to you. All right, so don't feel that it means you're even more separate from it. It means it's en route. Now let's move to the final chakra. This chakra, for those of you who believe in spirit, for those of you who are psychic or highly spiritual, it's almost not necessary to do this exercise, but we're going to do it anyway. But for others of you, I want you to imagine an orange seed, all right? Perhaps you have had an orange seed, just one, very small orange seed, that you've been carrying around in your wallet for years, all right? Now, you know that that orange seed only takes up a certain amount of space. It's just a small seed, okay, in this world. So you know that the seed is here. Now, if you find it hard to believe that there is something after this physical life, this physical world, if you find it hard to believe that there is another dimension that we cannot see, if you find that hard to believe, then why is it that you accept that when you take that orange seed and you plant it and it finally grows into a huge plant, that you now have something that came from where? Because it wasn't here. It used to only take up a tiny amount of space. And now, from that one thing that took up this teensy amount of space, it's taking up an enormous amount of space. It didn't come from anything in this physical world. Where did that come from? Not here. So there is another dimension. So if you can get that far, I think that you can probably get further than that. In the other dimension is an infinite amount of intelligence. Also, love. Love. And I'm absolutely certain of this, but if you don't have to believe this, okay? To clear the chakra, all right? You don't have to believe this. So let's just imagine above and behind your head, a beautiful mauve. So it's kind of like a light purple color, all right? And it's uniform in its color. And if you believe in spirit and in God, Allah, Buddha, whatever your God is, whatever your source is, what you can do now is just express silently in your head some thanks to spirit for just being here. And I'm thanking spirit for this time that we've had together. I'm thankful for you guys for being here as well. And I'm thanking spirit in advance for all the cool things that are going to come your way as a result of this meditation. All right. Now you are getting very, very sleepy. If you have actually survived this whole tape, wow, you've been very patient and very loving. And I really thank you for being here. And I feel very sleepy myself. So I hope that everyone has a wonderful sleep. If you have to get up soon, just draw upon your root chakra energy. Know that it's there. It will keep you going. And if you're like me and lucky enough to be able to sleep right now for a few hours, let's just